Allow me to extend a warm welcome to all the viewers on the internet and around the world. It is sunrise on YouTube, morning on Facebook, noon on Twitter, midday on Threads, afternoon on Twitch, sunset on Instagram, and evening on Rumble. I am your host, the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains, and the master of the deceptive arts. We are broadcasting live directly from the sanctum of solitude and the citadel at the end of time. Good evening, everyone. I am the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains, the master of the deceptive arts, and I return to you once again as the theatrical voice of the Vasectomites. And today I have an announcement to make. And I'm just going to get straight to the point and tell you what it is. I want to have a baby. No, I'm not joking. I'm not being funny. I'm not the type of person to come and make these type of declarations lightly. I want to have a baby. And I'm being very, very serious. I've decided that wherever I go, whatever I do, it will be my primary objective, particularly with these counterparts, these romance wars, or what you may call relationships, to go wherever feasible, wherever possible, wherever nature takes me, an opportunity seems it deems it fit and seems it necessary to put me, I will be found there. And what I will be trying to do is make a baby. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do everything I can that is within my power to achieve insemination. Of course, we all know that I have absolutely no power to achieve insemination or pregnancy or even make a baby as I declare today. Obviously, the baby's not going to be mine, right? It's going to be what you might call a miracle baby or a vicarious baby. I'm going to have a baby vicariously, right? I'm going to have the experience of fatherhood vicariously through you, Mr. Kneebender, right? But that is the point of all this. That is the point of coming out and declaring that I want a baby, a vasectomite, right? A true, purebred vasectomite coming out declaring he wants to have a baby. It doesn't make any sense. It's mysterious. It's dumbfounding. It's confusing. It's a complete lie. How can a vasectomite make a baby? It is drama. And that's what you and I are going to create. We are going to create the drama of life. And I, of course, will narrate every single moment to you. It would be my undying pleasure to take you through what is going to be a extravagant journey of deception. I'm going to be unnecessarily honest with you today, more honest than what I would ever be. The truth is that I'm bored with intimacy. I'm not bored with life. I think life is very interesting and dynamic. But I'm bored with intimacy, and I have been pretty much since I got my vasectomy. I find myself now sighing and in truth just wanting what I can't have, a purpose. I want what I really don't have, which is a purpose for intimacy. And as we all know, the purpose of intimacy is not pleasure, but procreation, making babies. The pleasure aspect of intimacy is merely an added benefit. It's a bonus that aids and guides the purpose. It is a biological mechanism that pleasures you and then seduces you and induces you to want to procreate as much as you possibly can, thereby guaranteeing, at least biologically guaranteeing, the survival of your particular genes. It's an innate instinct in almost every human being, right? It is right within our most fundamental core to not just want to survive ourselves, but to want our genes to survive. But what most men and women want is to be able to get the pleasure aspect of intimacy without the responsibility of the actual purpose and intended duty and responsibility of intimacy, which is insemination, pregnancy, and then ultimately procreation through childbirth. I, on the other hand, have a completely different problem. I possibly have the opposite problem. I have the gift of the pleasure aspect of intimacy, but I lack the purpose, the reason behind it. Yes, you can be intimate for pleasure, sure, sure, but there's a limit to that. There's a limit to which pleasure is a purpose. It's like having fun as a purpose. And while that is the case, the fun has to have a purpose also. So I'll take you to an education system that, quite frankly, I'm not familiar with. There was a belief, a theoretical belief, that you could induce people into learning through games. Certain games, like you could teach a child how to spell through games like Hangman, right? Or you could teach them the meaning of words through games like charades, right? Where people are given a word, they must act out the actions, and then other people must therefore deduce the meaning of the word or the word itself through body language and through your actions. This is a failed system. This is absolute nonsense. The idea that you could play a silly game with like farm animals where somebody's mimicking the actions of a chicken or a cow and then think you'll be able to write a PhD or a dissertation or something like that. That's absolutely absurd, right? Only somebody who is colossally incompetent would think that the two could ever be related somehow, right? You think you could play games and then produce academically? That is absurd. That is absolutely absurd, right? And that is the situation where I find myself. I am a person who's inclined to want to produce a full academic dissertation should the need arise, and that need hasn't arisen for a very long time. But should the need arise, I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to be functional. I want to be able to be productive. This is just the kind of person I am. This is not my inclination with regard to intimacy. Now, for some of you, you might think that I'm actually complaining about my frozen sperm or my vasectomy, um, but that's not the case. That's not the case. I'm merely describing the process to which I came to have my epiphany or my moment of clarity. There was a time where I thought, yeah, let me go out and do this for fun, but I'm just not that kind of person. Yes, I want to enjoy it. Yes, I want to to have the pleasure aspect along with all that. But what I need is a true and genuine um, uh, intimate purpose, or a purpose for intimacy, an intimate purpose for putting in all that work that it takes in exchange for intimacy. I mean things like pursuing a counterpart, flirting, making suggestive comments, putting myself in the right position in order to be able to even do that. So now I gotta stay up at night and go out to places and meet counterparts, and pretend it's serendipity when in fact it's well planned and well choreographed and that kind of thing. I gotta be approaching. I gotta play the game. I gotta play the game, as it said, or as they say, you know. And in order to play that game, I need a true purpose. I need, first of all, a purpose for intimacy. And there is no other purpose. Yes, there's pleasure, but that's a benefit, not a purpose, not a reason. Right? I need a purpose for the intimacy itself. Not just a purpose that will make me want to have how you describe one encounter with a counterpart within a short period of time, but I need a purpose that makes me want to have multiple encounters sequentially. Anyone can do it once or twice, but only a truly motivated individual, only a truly motivated man wants to rise to the occasion and launch his rocket time and time and time again. And that motivation comes from true purpose. And the purpose has to be insemination, procreation, life, the creation of life. I will be fostering the creation of life, not directly. I'm not gonna now go get a counterpart pregnant, put myself in child support for 18 years and child raising for 21 years, 2 solid decades of nonsense. I think not, but vicariously as a third party element, you know. But mostly I need a purpose. I need a purpose for the vasectomy. A purpose beyond just not being able to have kids, which, by the way, is a fantastic purpose and a fantastic outcome and the primary design of a vasectomy. But yes, while that is true, that will always be true. You know what I mean? That will always be true. That will always be the underlying reality in a world full of deception. Right? But what this vasectomy will serve in the drama that we are going to create is a purpose beyond having kids. It will act as a source of true secrecy in the middle of chaos and pandemonium, catastrophe and calamity, to strengthen my resolve and my determination in the deceptive arts. And perhaps that could be exemplary to other willing participants, willing practitioners of the deceptive arts. And this is where the purpose comes in. The purpose of intimacy is in itself conception, insemination, pregnancy. And so it must be my purpose too. It has to be. You see, the standard is the standard. The standard is the standard. Whether you have a vasectomy or not, the purpose of intimacy remains the same. This is the truth of standards, and I know this about standards. I was trying to find what is the standard of intimacy. What is it that's going to make me fuel my rocket and then launch it again and again and see that text and then send another text back and then double text. You know, when you double text, it means you're really into it. You didn't get all your thoughts out there. You still got something to say. You know what I mean? And I want to play the part to perfection. I want to play the part so well. But I also don't want to lose authenticity. You know? So in playing this role, I have to be myself. Not a role. I don't like the word role. The part. in playing this part, this position, I have to be truly myself, and I will be. I'm not tolerating nonsense from these counterparts, nor these knee benders. And that will become true and evident all and in and of itself. But then the question will be, but why? But why? Right? What is the source of his mystery, his strength, his indifference? That's really the way I'm gonna be. That's really who I am. I'm just so indifferent. Truly, I'm indifferent because whatever the hype is, there's always like details and statistics that make things quite mundane, right? So no matter how much you say, "Wow, this guy's traveling all over the world," I'm the type of person to say, "Well, how much did that cost? Let me see that credit card statement. Let me see how much interest you're charging, or rather they're charging you." So I have a very, very keen sense of reality and bursting bubbles and that kind of thing, right? Disappointment, but not disappointment to her. Disappointment simply to demonstrate the contrast between your delusions and reality. And the reality here is that the baby obviously can't be mine. It has to be the baby of some knee bender. It's going to be some knee bender's child, right? And that is where the theater will be, and the drama of making a life will truly begin for us. It won't begin when you meet, when you get to know each other, when you're dating, when you're holding hands at the beach. No, 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 no. It will begin when the knee bender arrives. Or if there's a knee bender there already, then it will begin when I arrive. We will have ourselves a good old fashioned love triangle with a mystery wrapped in an enigma and a secret vasectomy. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create my own secret vasectomy drama. But it's going to be different to the ones that you and I have reviewed and have looked at in the past. The other vasectomy dramas really have fallen flat for me. And I don't mean that they're not good stories. I mean the details are staggering. But they just don't seem to complete the circle of deception in their entirety. They just don't seem to end very well for me. They always end in like a heartbreak. Effectively, it's just a heartbreak and a simple breakup. It's just a heartbreak and a simple breakup, and a demonstration of how a vasectomy can waste somebody's time. Right? There's no there is a discovery, but the discovery kind of falls flat for me, right? And the discovery is the four magic words, right? It's the four magic words. I got a vasectomy. You know, I always felt that while that was a powerful moment, and it lands, bang, hit it on the table, as they say, right? I always felt that there was a real weight or a real weightedness missing from those vasectomide stories, right? And it's really about how the discovery happens, or the big reveal, right? And that big reveal is nothing more than a confession. I mean, it's nothing more than just bending the knee. The counterpart wants to know what the truth is, and you hold on ever so long, and then you tell the counterpart and you capitulate. And then, because the counterpart now knows what the truth is and the secret is, they can act accordingly. They dismiss you. Even if they like you as a person, they have no purpose. They have no purpose. There's no motivation. There's no driving force for them to continue to interact with you biologically, unless they were looking for intimacy for fun. But that being said, they could get that anyway. right? They could get that anyway. They're like once people know you have a vasectomy, that's it. That's it. They'll work with you and continue with you, but there's really no biological payoff, right? But mine will not end like that. Mine will not end with a confession, with me telling the truth, opening up. No, 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 no. Mine will strengthen my determination and resolve in the secrecy and the deceptive arts. Truly, it will. This is the purpose of it, and it will. I will never tell anyone about my vasectomy. I won't even tell you. Right? You believe that there's a person called the Ancient One whose mother named him the Ancient One who has a vasectomy, and that's all you know. At best, you know that I'm an educated, qualified, experienced professional. But I think that would have been easy to deduce whether I announced it or not. I think eventually my natural inclination and speech patterns would just simply expose my disposition. Better for me to expose it myself and remove any kind of mystery that may exist there. But I assure you, I'm not one for confessions. And I'm not one to give out an advantage. I don't care how muddy the waters get. I'm not telling anyone about my vasectomy. You know, the baby will decide. I mean, imagine a whole miracle, a seemingly inexplicable reveal, right? A African man whose wife births an Indian baby. Oh, fantastic. A European man with a mixed race baby from unknown origins. That baby could come from anywhere you would never know. Or an Asian man who has whose counterpart births a European baby while you're still in the marriage. And while you might say, I don't want anything to do with her anymore, the law is going to decide differently. But let's add a little bit more spice to it. What if there is no contrast? What if it's not an Asian man with an Indian baby or an African man with an Indian baby? What if it's an African man with an African baby? What if it's an Indian man with an Indian baby or an Asian man with an Asian baby? Huh? What if it's a European man with a European baby? And you were expecting something else completely different. All the while you thought that you were the other man. Now, this is going to be the best part. You know, when these guys think that they're the other man, and these knee benders, they like to think they're winning. They like to think they're winning by getting a counterpart. So you make him believe that he's the other man. And you make him believe that he's getting the best deal possible. And then suddenly he's in it for 18 years. You know, he's expecting a child that looks exactly like the Ancient One, right? Some kid with a hunchback, an amputated leg so short it might as well be amputated. He's gonna walk with a limp for sure. You just look at him, you can tell he's gonna need glasses. He's squint and his eyes are widened. He's got those crooked teeth. He's gonna need braces from day one. He's gonna have crooked teeth inside of a gap tooth mouth. No, it's just the worst case scenario. And then there the baby comes out, healthy and strong and handsome and tall, smiling and happy, looking just like you. Imagine that. Imagine you're expecting a mix or a contrast, and what you get is a pure thoroughbred knee bender, just like his daddy. And for me, that would be job well done. I don't think that this is a bad thing to do at all. I think on the one hand, it may add some excitement to this couple that will bring them ever closer together, but simultaneously, the counterpart isn't wasting their time. They get the baby that they've always wanted. They have the man that they love and care for, who they were sneaking around to be with. I think it's all going to work out very well. And then I still have my vasectomy. It's a win-win-win situation. I think. Well, I mean, I'm assuming that they're going to have a wonderful time together for the next 18 to 21 years, but I won't be there to find out. My job will be done. Mission accomplished, purpose achieved. Intimacy and insemination. What's missing? What's missing? I mean, we have a little bit of deception here and there, but who doesn't? Who doesn't? And the lovely couple can live happily ever after. If I play my part just right, if I play it just right, I could have the only proof that I'm not the father, right? Being either two things, either ethnicity. So we wait for the baby 9 months, and I mean I got 9 months. I'm not going anywhere. You know what I mean? I'll be there in 9 months. So I mean we're talking about what 2027. I'll be there. I'll be there. You know what I mean? All things being equal, I'll be there, right? So in 9 months from when she says go, we wait to see the ethnicity of the baby. We wait to see the ethnicity of the baby. Now, this might be an expensive endeavor for myself, but when that baby comes out, looking Spanish, we're all gonna know. We're all gonna know. That's not the ancient ones, baby. Looking Australian, what do they call Aborigine? We're all gonna be standing there being like, that Aborigine baby, that's ancient ones, baby. No, it isn't. It's either gonna be the ethnicity of the child or a DNA test, which I would happily pay for, right? Which I would happily pay for. But I would never personally, in my secret vasectomy story, I would never let the reveal of my vasectomy be the climax of the story. No, 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 no. The baby has to be the climax of the story. That's the whole purpose of it. Otherwise, it's just empty. It's just empty, right? I'm not going to reveal my vasectomy under any circumstances in this drama that we created, right? Nor would I ever reveal the fact that I am in fact the most mysterious man all over the internet. One of the things though that has to stand out to me while I'm planning this melodrama of life is that I'm ultimately gonna have to be what they call a cuckold, right? Which is in fact a man who knows that his woman is sleeping with another man, but continues that association as if it doesn't bother him. For me, it won't necessarily, but I'm gonna have to act like it does, right? It's gonna be one of those things, man. It's just gonna have to be one of those things. But ultimately, I ask myself, how am I gonna achieve insemination with a vasectomy? I'm gonna need some help in this department, right? I'm gonna need somebody to take that fall ultimately, and it might as well be a knee bend. He's gonna bend the knee anyway. He's gonna bend that knee anyway. And as far as these counterparts go, it is my belief that upon meeting me, she probably has a man anyway. And while we're dating, she probably has a man anyway. When we break up, she's probably gonna have a man anyway. And those are probably gonna be three different men. This is my assessment of these counterparts. I don't trust nothing about them. However, they are necessary in the process of childbearing. All right. And for me, it is necessary for me to be in this position. A position that, had I not had a vasectomy, I would have not been inclined to cock out myself under any circumstances. Right? There are counterparts in my past who I believe were unfaithful, and I ended it just on the belief with no evidence. Right? However, there's an irony here. And maybe that's kind of one of the things that we need in a drama, in a true drama. This is all going to be ironic. The irony is that since I can't have the kid myself, I need for the counterpart to do what the counterpart is going to do, and I need for the knee bender to do what the knee bender is going to do. Otherwise, I have no purpose. So they will fulfill their purpose, and I will fulfill mine. It's really, really, I think, a balanced approach to what has otherwise been a frustrating issue. But what I do know that is that if I have to put my faith in entertainment, it's only a matter of time before I lose control of the situation and direction. It's like, when you are, let's say you're at work and you have like a casual Friday kind of thing, right? But like not like a regular thing, but this is the first casual Friday, right? Let's say you have the first casual Friday of the year, and and also people are going to leave early, like let's say 2 hours early. So instead of knocking off at 5, you're going to knock off at 3. Instead of knocking off, except for the overtime people, you're going to stay like it's a regular day. So you might have those hours free, but eventually your overtime shift is going to kick in as usual. So you can forget all those casual day, and all that nonsense. But effectively, it's like on the first casual day, and people are going to leave early, or there's something like the company's having drinks or something like that after work. So, your shift will be cut short in order to participate in the company function and that kind of thing. And I say this because it's like, end of year and year end functions and that kind of thing are about to start before the festive season. But indeed, on that first casual Friday, people are going to come dressed like clowns. Colossal clowns. They're not going to dress down, smart, casual, whatever. That first day, people are going to come dressed like clowns. And on that first casual Friday, I will come in dressed full corporate suit. Full corporate suit. To demonstrate that it is still business as usual. And anyone who looks inappropriate, I'm going to have to hold them to account. I'm going to have to explain to you that flip-flops to work is a no. Even on casual Friday. When we say casual Friday, we mean you trade out your chinos for a pair of jeans. That's it. We don't mean flip-flops and tank tops. No. And sun hats. We don't mean that. We don't mean that, right? That's how you maintain standards. That's how you maintain standards. So, on the one hand, you have the fun event that everybody gets to cut loose, which is the intimacy with the vasectomy. It's fun. But on the other hand, you still have to maintain a business environment until 3 o'clock. Only then the festivities and casual stuff starts. And even then, you're still in a professional environment. Your bosses are watching you, and you should be watching them. Watch how they do, right? So this is what the vasectomy is. This is the drama of it, and this is what the insemination is compared to the vasectomy. The vasectomy, the intimacy with the vasectomy is all fun, but without the intimacy, without the insemination, without the pregnancy, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. And there's not going to be a need to be like, when she's leaving, for me to be like, no, don't go. Let's keep going. Let's keep trying. Let's keep pushing on, right? Only when you give like a great big effort are people truly convinced. A counterpart will never be convinced that you love them unless you show them that you love them. And one of the things that you have to show is that you want her to stay. Not like me, who's going to be like, get out of here. Why did you even come? No. We won't be doing that. We have to be like, stay, let's have more drinks, let's order more food, let's keep it going. And you need a purpose for that, right? You need to purpose, you need to know, okay, by the end of this counterpart must believe in some way, shape, or form that insemination is at least a possibility, if not now, then in the near future, as is the willingness to achieve that insemination. That's purpose. It's the willingness to push on, to push on through the petty grievances and the little irritations, of which I cannot stand, right? But I'm gonna have to stand it. And then there's gonna be the messages from the knee bender. Where are you? What are you doing? Then I'm gonna send messages. Who's this guy calling you? Oh, and then we have a contrast. Now I know he exists. He knows I exist. Now we're both fighting for this counterpart. She's mine. How dare you? I might even call him. I might even call him and put him on the phone and tell him, how dare you do this? Stay away from my counterpart, you loser. And if you ever talk to her again, I'll track you down. That kind of stuff, man. It has to be really dramatic. It has to be a real love triangle. We have to, with gifts and money spent and all kinds of things, fake jewelry and all that. You know, there has to be a standard, and it has to be a real one. And this thing has to go on. This love triangle, this argument, this back and forth, this pull and push. It has to continue until the moment where insemination is achieved. Then we know. Then we know success. Success. Right? Now, that's usually the moment, where one of the moments where people say, well, I had a vasectomy. You're pregnant? No, it's not mine. I had a vasectomy. I say let's add more doubt and say, well, how do you know it's mine? What about such and such? The knee bender. What about knee bender over there, thinking he's the Phantom Menace? How do you know it's not his? Then we gotta play the world's most expensive game. Who's the daddy? But on the one hand, I'm like, oh, it could be my child. Oh, but on the other hand, it could be the knee bender's child. What to do? But all the while, we know what's what, you and I. We know what's what, you and I, right? And of course, I will be here to narrate every single moment for you. It would be my undying pleasure to tell you all about it. It would be my undying pleasure to tell you all about it. Now, of course, this is the kind of thing that it can only last 1 month, 9 months maximum. There's a little bit of time before that, and there's a little bit of time after that when the DNA test reveals you, my knee bending friend, are the father. All right. But otherwise, what would the point be of this platform? Just talk about another person's vasectomy and another person's adventures. I don't know about all that. I have though all my semen results, all my semen analysis, right? Results printed, right? So one of the things that might happen, and I mentioned this because one of the things that happens is that the counterpart in these vasectomy secret, the counterpart doubts themselves. Then they go to their urologist, checks themselves out, they find out that they're okay. Then what they do is they demand that the vasectomite go and have himself checked out. Now, this is where the problems start. But me, I just pull out the paper, right? Because I have the one before that says I'm fully fertile, and the one that says I'm not fertile. Now, I could easily pull out that document, change the date, blah, 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 and send it to her and say, hey, man, look, a few months ago, I went and had myself checked out. The doctor said, I'm fantastic. Please feel free to take my document over to your urologist, have them read over it, and, tell you what the readout is. She'll do a urologist once, go back to her urologist to check those results. Again, I promise you, she's not paying for a third urology test. Those people are specialists and they're expensive, right? Just for her to go on a fact-finding mission. So if there was ever any doubt about my fertility, I could easily expose those results and show that I am fully fertile. I have what the doctor described or the urologist described as plenty. And then everybody would have to wait for the baby to come. Wouldn't that just be dramatic? Wouldn't that just be dramatic? But this isn't enough. This is enough. We're not just going to create our own drama haphazardly from our own imagination. No, 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 no. We are going to use one of the greatest dramatic writers of all time, the pretty much one of the fathers of modern day tragedy, William Shakespeare. And we're going to use some of the characteristics of his works, not just as a guide, but also as a template for our own drama. So over here on your screen, what you'll see are a couple of definitions of the characteristics of Shakespearean tragedy. These are really what the elements of Shakespearean tragedies are. This was written by a gentleman called Muhammad Rafiq, and it was published on the 18th of June. I think it was revised on the 18th of June 2024. And there is the website where it comes from. It is discover.hubpage.com, and there's the link to the actual list of definitions. This list doesn't just come from Mr. Muhammad Rafiq. It actually is a combination of like different things and different features from several lists. But as I was compiling the list, I kept closing the tabs and then completely lost track of where the other people are. So I can't really reference people that I completely forgot about. But it's really one of those things. When you're in the zone and you just want the information, and then you realize that this information doesn't just come from one person; it comes from many different sources. But I guess Muhammad will just have to take the credit. Mr. Muhammad keeps the credit for today. Such is life. But the list goes, what we have in a Shakespearean drama is, first we have a tragic hero. To me, I wrote a note on the side. This is going to be the knee bender. I thought for a moment that I would be the tragic hero, but I realized that I'm not really. This is the protagonist of a tragedy who experiences a downfall. A main character cursed by fate and possessed of a tragic flaw. Doesn't that just sound like a knee bender? Right? The knee bender may feel, in fact, does quite often feel, that by getting a counterpart, they are successful. Even better is when they get somebody else's counterpart. Even better than that is when they get the ancient one's counterpart. What they're not anticipating is the imminent downfall, the consequences of 21 years of child raising and 18 years of child support. So I thought for a moment, am I going to be the tragic hero in this situation? Sadly, I cannot. Sadly, I cannot, unless the knee bender, unless I'm the Phantom Menace and the knee bender is the main protagonist in that case. But if I was the main protagonist and the knee bender was trying to be the Phantom Menace, he may very well think that the tragic flaw lies within me, which is irony, because he's the one that's going to get the 21 years, right? So there's an irony in the tragic heroes, right? One of the themes of Shakespearean drama is perception versus reality, where on the one hand, the knee bender is going to perceive himself as having an advantage, and the reality is that he doesn't have a vasectomy. He doesn't have a vasectomy, right? So the theme of perception versus reality is one that I really didn't add, but I should have, right? But it just it wasn't on the main list of elements. But it's absolutely a powerful theme in Shakespearean drama. But yes, first we'll have our protagonist, the knee bender. The second characteristic is the struggle between good and evil. Oh, who has the moral authority? So, I suppose the moral authority will go both ways depending on the set of circumstances. So, if I'm the protagonist, if I'm the boyfriend, if I'm the one that's holding on to this relationship, this fast, this romance was, then the knee bender might feel that while he's being intimate with the counterpart, he's actually the bad boy, right? So you're gonna have a contrast of good guy and bad guy, and then in another sort of circumstance, of course, I mean this is only a 9 month drama, so we may have several dramas. In another set of circumstances, I may be the Phantom Menace, and the knee bender may very well be seen as the good guy. Really, there's no really saying who's the good guy or the bad guy. We're just playing different parts. Today I'm on the left, tomorrow I'm on the right. I'm really going to be flexible about this, and this is what's important about the situation, the flexibility. When I thought about in terms of purpose, I thought fun is not a defined purpose, is not a defined standard. You know, what's fun today might not be fun tomorrow, right? What's good today, what's the priority today may not be the priority tomorrow in terms of fun. But in terms of insemination, I know that no matter what I do, no matter which way the wind blows, as long as the counterpart becomes inseminated, it's success. And until they don't become inseminated, or rather, if they don't become inseminated until such time that they do, I cannot claim success in terms of intimacy. I'm really gonna need for her to have that baby bump, right? This struggle can take place as part of the plot or exist within the main character. Oh, this is going to be so good. So we can have a struggle between good and evil, between me and the bender, or me and the counterpart, and they may have a struggle of guilt within themselves. I don't anticipate any of that for myself, because I mean, what good would it serve me? Even if I was discovered I have a vasectomy, so what? So what? Right? Even if I was discovered, would it really matter? It would have no purpose. I would just have to move on to another counterpart and try and get that counterpart inseminated, right? But within them, I'm sure they may view me as good on one day and as evil on another day. I just suppose I'm gonna have to let each one decide for themselves, right? There might be someone who's gonna look at the situation and say, "Hey, the ancient one's doing good over here," and there might be another one who looks at the situation and say, "The ancient one should stay away from that guy's wife." Number three, external conflict. This can be a problem facing the hero as a result of the plot or a bad guy character. External conflict. The only external conflict I'm concerned about is violence. Man, these knee benders, they like to be violent, and I'm not taking that risk. I'm really going to have to play the part of the Phantom Menace and find a way to keep my distance. But why take the chance? Why take the chance of getting into, quite frankly, a violent encounter where anything can happen? Right? External conflict, I don't need that, but I am aware that it's a possibility, a realistic possibility. These are the kinds of things where I think to myself, man, is it worth the risk going out there dealing with these knee benders and their tendencies, especially if the knee bender's got nothing to lose. You know, he could become all kinds of violent if he sees me as the bad guy and himself as the good guy. And I can't imagine why somebody would. I mean, I've calculated this situation quite fairly. So there you are, Mr. Knee Bender, with the counterpart, and there I am with the counterpart. Right? The counterpart wants to inseminate. She wants to have a baby. The knee bender wants to bend the knee. I want the drama. Doesn't everybody win in this situation? I think you get what you want, and I get what I want, a purpose. A purpose to bring the two of you together biologically in an inexplicable and unfathomable way. Serendipity. It's poetic justice. It's meant to be. It's poetic justice. Right? It's meant to be. It's fate. It's fate. This is what we have in our drama. We have a sense of fate. We have a sense of, oh, she's definitely going to be inseminated, and it may very well be your child. But imagine it's not my child. It's not the Bender's child. Then whose child is it? Whose child could it be? And I'm only paying for my DNA test, right? During the big DNA reveal, I'm only gonna pay for my DNA test. So the baby will say that it's not mine, but is it gonna say that it's not yours, Mr. Nipenda? Oh, this is gonna be a great drama. This is really gonna be a great drama. When the baby comes, I will know that I have succeeded. Truly, I have succeeded, and my efforts were all worthwhile. But and who knows, I might have some fun along the way. But if I prioritize fun in this endeavor, how will I know when I've achieved it? I mean, I'm a narcissist, true and all, but I'm also not very empathetic. The things that people think are fun are really quite ridiculous to me. Like, those like deep water slides, like they're like water worlds and stuff. I could never understand the preoccupation with deep water slides. What if you get stuck in the middle? People get stuck in there. And I mean, is that slide all the way down worth it? To me, it's kind of like bungee jumping. Why jump with the rope? Why jump with the rope? What's the risk of securing yourself very tightly with a rope that can lift tons and tons and tons, and then letting yourself drop, and then saying, yeah, it's an adventure. It's not an adventure. You threw a stone off a cliff and tied a rope around it, and now you're like, oh, the stone didn't hit the water. Of course not. You got a rope around it. I mean, why would it hit the water, right? It's predictable. It's predictable. Then we have an internal conflict, the struggle the hero engages in with his or her flaws. Oh yes, when they start wondering what happened, what's going on, how could this happen? When that baby comes. I'm sure there will be internal struggles all the way through, but when that baby comes, when a baby is the reveal, and it's who, the nature, the color, the creed, the ethnicity, the background, the tone, the hair, the eyes, the nose, the squint, the teeth, and you're looking at this baby and you're like, whose baby is this? And everybody starts asking themselves, you're like, is this the ancient one's baby? Why his legs like that? Why he got a leg like that? That's definitely ancient one's baby, right? But if it's not, then people have to ask themselves deep questions. If they're expecting ancient one's baby and it's somebody else's baby, then they have to ask themselves deep questions about themselves. This may begin an internal conflict, but it may be a path to resolution, to better understanding, a sense of self, blah, blah, blah. I could care less, right? But we'll see. Internal conflicts, I'm not so much interested with. Like what you're feeling about yourself. This isn't really the kind of thing that prioritizes me. It's too much guesswork. You may feel guilty, you may feel proud, you may feel like you got away with it. There's too much risk involved in emotions. But let a baby come. Let a baby come. Those emotions are going to be true. Those emotions are going to be realized, manifested as such. And that satisfies me. That satisfies me in terms of tangibility. Number 5, a tragic flaw, hamartia. A character flaw that leads to the hero's downfall, the fatal character flaw of a tragic hero. The flaw that leads to a hero's downfall. What is the flaw that's going to lead to a Bender's downfall? Would it be overconfidence, ego, pride, vanity, the sensation that you're winning something, the desire for forbidden fruit, paranoia? What could it be? I'm sure there are millions of flaws that will ultimately end up with nothing. You know what I mean? Like your flaws, I'm thinking now deeply within myself. The flaws are going to be inconsequential in our drama. Yes, we'll have many flaws and whatever, But I then think, to me, the flaw here is very simple in our secret vasectomy, and that flaw is intimacy. And the inability to gauge your own intimate or the ability to gauge your ability to handle the consequences of intimacy, right? This is going to be your most fundamental flaw, your inability to gauge the full ramifications and consequences of intimacy. All the while, you're probably going to believe that you are getting away with it and you're killing it, right? That's where we're going. But as for these internal conflicts and personality flaws, I'm sure those will reveal themselves, and each one will be unique. I'm sure each one will be unique, but they'll come and they'll go. They'll come and they'll go, and it'll be curious to see how far they go in that child raising. You know, I'm sure they'll go pretty far. I'm sure they'll go pretty far, all the way to 21 years. But I wonder, will they remember how they got there? And also, maybe they'll figure it out. But I doubt that. But I doubt that. They might meet years, like I might meet them years later, after the baby's born and everything. They'll introduce me to that baby as a man, maybe say, hey, there's the ancient one. You should be grateful. You could have had a hunchback kid. You know? Who knows? Who knows? The drama will continue. However, the vasectomy will never be revealed. The vasectomy will never be revealed. You know? And even if I move on, I'll return. Characters will return. That's another thing, when characters return. So definitely X Games. Not like as of this point, I will not be returning to any ex's pre-vasectomy. Right? That's all over. But like post vasectomy, exes back and forth. Exes back and forth. This is why I'm saying, like, a counterpart can have many kids, but you want to be motivated to rise to the occasion again and again and again and again with the promise of insemination. And then they go 2 babies, 3 babies, like, and none of them are the ancient ones' babies. You see, that's motivation. That's true motivation. You can't fake that. Being willing to make yourself into a cuckold, being willing to take an ex back. So you break up and you go back and you break up and you come back and you watch them get pregnant again and again and again with other men's kids. All the while they're not your kids. And there you are, the victim. Just taking her back. Oh, why do you keep taking her back? And there's this poor guy paying child support. Just 3 men just paying child support for the rest of their lives. Isn't that just drama? It's a never-ending, ongoing drama. You and I could be doing this for years. Instead of reading other people's secret vasectomies, we can get updates. Oh, and I'll tell you all about how the baby's in the 3rd trimester and how excited we all are. And we're going to choose a name. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be fantastic, right? I'm sure there'll be stumbles along the way, but at least we have a real purpose. It feels good to have purpose. It's not exciting. Purpose is not exciting. It's not the kind of thing where you say, high five, I got a purpose. No, no, no. It's a target to aim at. It's a target to aim at. Especially if you are a result-based person. You want a real target to aim at. And getting somebody inseminated and with child, that is a worthwhile endeavor, in my opinion. Not just for the knee bender, not just for the counterpart, not just for me, but also for the child. A child that would never otherwise have never been born had it not been for me. You know, I could help millions of people come to Earth. I mean, I don't have the lifespan or the time, but I could do my best. 2 by 2, 3 by 3, who knows? You know, but I could put in that time. I'm motivated. I'm motivated by purpose. Catharsis is the sixth one. This is the emotional release experienced by the audience at the end of a tragedy. The release of the audience's emotion through empathy with characters. Now, you are a very important aspect of this. It's something that I really overestimated, is or rather underestimated, is your presence. Is your presence in all this? There would be absolutely no point in me doing any of this if I couldn't come here and tell you all about it. All right, there would be absolutely no point in doing any of this if we couldn't share and analyze the details. Now, without an audience, you really don't have much of a performance, right? And this is the beauty of dramas, is that there needs to be an audience to appreciate the irony. Now, I'll be appreciating that irony all by myself, but that would make absolutely no sense, right? Every performance is meant to be viewed or heard or witnessed. And I think this is going to be one of those performances that is well worth the effort, especially because everything that will be done will be, well, more or less legal. More or less legal. But I'm wondering what type of responses that we'll get. I mean, imagine if the counterpart gets inseminated and they decide they don't want to keep the baby. That would be a very interesting outcome if you decided you wanted a different fate for your child other than life. Right? And I mean, like, since it's not my kid, I don't know if I have the rights to be making any kind of decisions in this situation. But I could hold the hand. I could hold the hand, in the I don't know where they do these things, right? In the Plan B house, I could hold hands and see what happens, right? And then come back and tell you, oh, today we went and did the termination and the early termination, and it was very emotional. It was very this. It was very that, and then I went home and took a nap. I don't know. I don't know. But I'm sure the details will be riveting. I'm sure the details will be quite riveting. I, for one, cannot wait to see what happens. I'm curious. I'm curious to see what would happen. Now, one of the things that you want to do as a vasectomite, you want to see how people are going to respond to your vasectomy, right? That emotion, you know, the release of emotion at the end. But I don't know if I'm inclined to give that release. Otherwise, I mean, you tell one person you have a vasectomy, you might as well tell the whole world. And with these devices, they put you on the internet and say, here's the ancient one, the face of a vasectomy. You know, and that's it. And that's it. No more games, no more drama, no more excitement, no more plans, no more nothing. Now it's just me talking about a medical procedure instead of a drama, which is what we have. We have a mystery, we have a drama, we have characters, right? We have a purpose, a real purpose that we can't deviate from, right? Even if, like, you can search for purposes of a vasectomy, you're really gonna find emptiness, right? You're really they're gonna tell you burn calories. Give me a break. What we need is the capacity to create life directly or indirectly, but face none of those consequences for creating that life. I'm not raising nobody's child. The best I can do is be there. Oh, you know what would be nice? If I'm there with a camera. I'm definitely recording that. I'm definitely recording that. Maybe not the whole birth and whatnot, because it's a private medical procedure and it's pretty gross, and I don't think I could play that. But wouldn't it be awesome if I played you a live video of me looking at an Asian baby? Like, that's not my baby. Wouldn't that just be drama? Now, that's what I call receipts, man. That's what I call receipts. When you get to the purpose at the end, and there's the mom and there's the baby, and there you are, Indian man. Indian man with a South American baby. Definitely, definitely a Kodak moment. The next one is the reveal. It is called peripetia, a sudden change in fortune or circumstance. Oh, sorry, this is the reversal. I beg your pardon, not the reveal. The reversal, peripetia, a sudden change in fortune or circumstances. This is what we're talking about right here. That's where the drama is, the sudden change. When when the two of them, the counterpart and the knee bender, think they're playing the vasectomite, and then she gets pregnant. Sudden change in fortune. Then all the while they think it's the vasectomite's baby, and then another switch. Oh no, knee bender, it's your baby. Oh, glorious. A switch and a mix. A switch and a mix. Who knows where these two people are going to end up after this? Three people, I beg your pardon. Who knows where these three people are going to end up after this? And that's what it's about. That's really what it's about. That's the drama of life. When I'm standing there and I see that baby, I can see that baby right now. That Indian baby. Standing right there knowing this isn't my baby and knowing that it's about to get real. I mean, really real. Right down to the pennies. It's gonna get real. You know? That's the moment, man. That's the purpose. Where there's no baby, there's really nothing. There's really, really nothing, man. It's just you can accomplish the same thing with some lotion and some tissue without a purpose. You have no desire to call anyone, stay in touch, or any of those things, without that biological purpose. You know, you need that, man. You need to see that baby. And when I see the babies, the children of the ancient one, the children of the ancient one, let them turn 21. Then we'll see. A sudden change of fortune. This is really what it's all about. This is the drama right here when things change. And they'll change naturally. And all we have to do is just put ourselves beyond the possibility of defeat and just wait for that change and transition to occur. A tragic waste. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Really, we're talking about a waste of a life here. You knee benders, you just need to stop being intimate with someone. And that's just the thing, right? That's just the thing of it. Like I will be intimate with the counterpart. But you knee bender, you don't have to be. And when you face the tragic circumstances that before you, you'll have no one else to blame. You can't say I had a baby with somebody because somebody else had a vasectomy. No. You had a baby with someone because you were intimate with them. You can't just say, oh, the ancient one is in the game now, and now I'm pregnant. It's the ancient one's fault. No, no, no. Wait a minute. The ancient one had a vasectomy. How could the ancient one make somebody pregnant with your baby with his vasectomy? No, 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 no. That don't make no sense. You made the baby with the counterpart. What the ancient one did was he removed his capacity to make a baby. That's the reality. And now your life is a tragic waste, as well as her life, as well as his. But to be fair, if it wasn't for this, you probably would have had nothing better happening in your life. So your life was a tragic waste anyway. The good being destroyed along with the bad at the resolution of the play often played out with the unnecessary loss of life, especially of good guy characters. The good being destroyed along with the bad. That sounds extreme, but it sounds right. The knee bend and the counterpart, both of them destroying each other. Having a good thing, which is a baby, having a good thing, which was an intimate relationship, but then the consequences of that. I mean, how how much of destruction can a bad parenting situation cause? Yeah, and you could say, well, the ancient one caused the situation. I didn't cause the situation. I just merely facilitated it. The two of you could have walked away from each other anytime. Really, you could have, but you didn't. This counterpart could have carried on, and the counterpart and I, we could have carried on with motivation for years and years and years until you popped in. And now you are 21 years of child raising. That I would consider an unnecessary loss of life, an unnecessary loss of your life, an unnecessary loss of the counterpart's life, and an unnecessary loss of this poor child who's going to grow up to be a waste and a loser. I mean, you're going to raise them, so how successful could they be? Number 10 is supernatural elements. So you have magic, you have witchcraft, you have ghosts. Witchcraft are very closely associated with the spiritual beliefs of the counterparts. Right now, we all know these things are not real. Magic, misdirection, witchcraft, and ghosts, they do exist, all in the dark dimension. Now, you might say, well, Ancient One, we are not of the dark dimension. No, no, no. We participate fully in the dark dimension or in the dark side of the force. We are the practitioners of the deceptive arts. We engage in the romance wars, and we engage with deception. They want to engage with magic, they want to engage with witchcraft and ghosts and all kinds of superstition, manifestation. We engage with the skill of deception. As well as you can add a vasectomy onto that list of supernatural elements. Things that are controlling our lives but we cannot explain. A ghost, a mystery, a phantom. Something is going on. But what is it? It is unseen, it is unknown, it is unmitigated. These are supernatural elements. And we have them, two of them that we use. We have the deceptive arts, which can create any reality we so choose. And then we have the vasectomy, which can shatter that reality. Number 11, a lack of poetic justice. Things end poorly for everyone, including the good guy. This is really what's going to happen. There's a guy out there believing that he's going to be intimate with the counterpart. The ancient one's not going to know. He's going to get his way and then move on to the next thing. Right? He thinks he's going to just pull this off and it's going to be great. And then here comes the lack of poetic justice, where things don't work out. Don't work out, and then the two of you just keep making one bad decision after another, until ultimately, of course, you destroy yourselves. Right? This is true. And since you've made a series of bad decisions, being pregnant and inseminated will just fall right along with all of that. This is the drama. This is the drama of life, or the drama of making life. And I think it's fantastic. I, for one, think it is fantastic. Right? The lack of poetic justice, just you standing there thinking that things are going to work out for us. Don't worry, babe. Things are going to work out for us. And then calamity. And then calamity. And then you'll be saying, nah, here's the dad. It's gonna be like 9 months of I'm not the dad, I'm not the dad, I'm not the dad. 9 months of delusion and denial. Can you imagine spending 9 months when you should be preparing to have a kid and you do nothing? And then boom, it's your kid. And now not only are you not prepared, You were so sure it was somebody else's baby. And I'll be there claiming that child. Until that baby is born, I'm going to claim it every single day. My boy. Gender reveal. We're going to do a gender reveal. Oh, I'm absolutely doing a gender reveal. Oh, I'm going to record the gender reveal. I am going to do a gender reveal and probably live stream it. I'm probably going to live stream the gender reveal. Like seriously, you guys have to come along with me on this journey. There would be absolutely no point in doing all of this if not but to indicate, hey, you know, we're in this together. There would be no point. I mean, this channel has given me purpose. It has given me purpose, which is why I keep returning and returning and returning. It's not just the reading of information and analyzing information from the perspective of the vasectomites. It's there as I think, a demonstration of the testament of how true the process can be. And what better way to demonstrate this than childbirth? To show that indeed a vasectomy can still allow you to participate in a meaningful way in the process of childbirth with purpose. With purpose. And then, of course, in the middle of that purpose, we have the comic relief. One or more humorous characters who participate in scenes intended to lighten the mood. Oh, yes, the clowns. There's always a clown, isn't there? I didn't think about the clown, like the best friend, the little brothers. There's always a little brother. The nephew. There's always a nephew. There's always somebody young who thinks they're funny and cool. Somebody who makes a quick witted joke. I love quick witted jokes. I can't wait for that. I can't wait for somebody to say like the obvious. Or when there's always a person in the family who always states the obvious. Somebody's gonna be like, "That's not an Indian baby." Right? And you're standing there like, "Yeah, that's a European baby." Right? And we're all standing there looking like, "Yeah, that's a European baby, my friend." That's absolutely a European baby coming out of an Asian woman who's dating an Indian man. It's gonna be fantastic. There's no telling how this is gonna play out. And that's the best part of it. The only thing that we will know for sure in this dynamic is that the ancient one is infertile and cannot have kids. Now, there's another part of this that I'm thinking about. If I'm going to go out there and be intimate with counterparts and whatnot, in the name of making babies, would they all be attractive? Would they all be nines and tens? I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, what difference would it make now? I suppose there has to be a level of attraction. I have to have some attraction for the counterpart, right? And there has to be like some type of desire to have a child, for I don't know, marriage or biological reasons or whatever the reasons is, right? And then, of course, to have the child instead of just wasting their time with nothing, of course, then they will go ahead and have that child. The Bender's child, of course. But this is important, man. This is important, this kind of stuff, to be able to achieve results. Otherwise, it's really nothing more than just comic relief. Then I'm not coming in as nothing more than a guy, a clown, trying to tell jokes with a vasectomy, which I'm really not. Which I'm really not. I would love nothing more than to produce pictures of the children of the ancient one, so we can see just how many diverse outcomes that we can get from this drama. You know, but yeah, I would say if you want to create your own drama, go ahead, freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy. Freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy, and then you can make your own drama and you can put it up online, and we can all, have a look and analyze for ourselves. But if you are gonna go do that vasectomy, you need to keep all your documents, right? You need to keep all your documents so that you can create different types of dynamics under different circumstances. But this is the end of the video and the end of my epiphany and clarity. I'd like to say please freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy. Don't forget that. That's the message of this platform. Please like this video, all right? In order to like the video. I'm not really sure what the purpose of liking videos are. I mean, I appreciate the support, but I'm really not sure why we ask for likes. I really don't know if likes make that big a difference in our lives. People say that over and over and over again. I don't know if I need the likes. I know I like them. It feels good when people like your work and validate it, but do I need it? And why? Does it actually affect the algorithm? I don't know if I need the likes. I appreciate them. I really do like them, and I really do appreciate them for myself. But I really don't know what the benefit of them are. So I'm gonna say I appreciate it if you like the video, but it's not necessary. I think your views is, the fact that you spend time watching this thing is more than enough for me. Now you gotta click a like. No. What I will say though is if you do know somebody that's still in doubt about getting a vasectomy, share this with them and get them into the conversation, right? That to me is a more functional outcome. It's a functional outcome because then we can get more vasectomites. I don't know how much of a functional outcome getting a like is. I mean, does it demonstrate popularity? I'm a faceless man now looking for popularity. I don't know about all that. I never liked the idea of likes anyway. What I think will be more helpful to us is indeed sharing the video, right? Sharing the video with somebody who, is still in doubt about getting a vasectomy or is concerned about the social conversation about vasectomies. Come over, let's have a conversation. And if you really want to have that conversation, you can leave a comment, and I'll be happy to participate in those conversations. There was a moment where I thought, if I get too busy, am I gonna read the comments? Blah blah blah. But then I realized that the comments are really what's important here to me, right? It's not the likes. To be honest with you, I mean, like, I'm trying to care about likes. I'm not trying to be dismissive to people, but I really could care less about the likes. What I want to know is how you feel and what you think. It's your comments and your opinions, right? Are you getting a vasectomy? How far along are you? What do you want to talk about? Do you want to strategize? What part of the art of war do you want to discuss? Have you read it? Haven't you read it? Try the audiobook. Let's have a discussion. I'm really more interested in your thoughts than I am in your approval. And I don't mean that in a dismissive way. People will give you approval and it's worth a lot. But I'd rather have your opinion. You heard something here today. Something you liked, something that you didn't like, something that you weren't sure about. What is it? Tell me about it. Now you see that interests me. I could happily request a comment and an engagement. It's genuine, it's heartfelt, it's true, it's what I want. Right? I want to know your thoughts, especially if you're planning on becoming a vasectomite. Especially if you want someone to say, hey, I have a doubt in this area. What do you think? I'll tell you, freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy, dissuade your doubt, and get that vasectomy for many, many reasons. Yes, I just described a litany of problems that I have, but trust me, these are very good problems, comparatively speaking, right? So, the only thing that I would say is, and based on a functional basis, if there's somebody that you know that is in doubt about getting a vasectomy, share the video with them, share any video with them so we can dissuade their doubt and get them moving in the right direction. Simultaneously, if you want to be part of the the conversation, and I will be part of that conversation, I plan actually on responding to comments. I actually enjoy responding to comments. I was trying to be a little bit reserved in the comments, but I have opinions, obviously. You have opinions, obviously. Let's have those opinions. Right? Let's have those opinions. Otherwise, it's just me talking to thin air. Right? But without you, I got nothing. Why would I put out pictures of these poor children of the ancient one, right? If there was no one to look at them. But if you want to put out pictures of your own children that you're going to be very serious about not raising, you know, get a vasectomy. Freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy, start a channel, let's have a conversation. Right? The more vasectomites that are out there, I think the easier it'll be for people to come on board and support. So freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy, protect yourself at all times, protect your seed, protect your solitude. This is the end of the video. I am the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, and I am the Phantom Menace. And I'd like to wish you a wonderful and wonderful day. Oh yeah, and you can like the video too.